What can I tell about Jean-Claude Vesque, also known as Whiskey? He was born in 1954, he's a year older than I am, and he lived just a few blocks away from where I grew up in Limpertsberg. We first met, I would say, in grade 4 in elementary school, where I got to know him as a very good sportsman, a very keen soccer player, bike rider, and always active. In high school then I got to meet him in a different way. In the first place, I had his father as a French teacher. His father, by the way, was also teaching Latin and Greek, and we became personal friends, and I went in and out of their home at that time. In the mid-70s, through a teacher, common teacher we had, who also taught at Miami University European Center, the MUAC, we went together to meet American students, and I think that influenced his path and my career as well. While I ended up being a teacher at the American International School, or the American School, for all my life, Jean-Claude, he continued his studies at in Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and he also studied in Lausanne. He worked for different companies. He was Parker Hannifin in Cleveland, and he worked at Procter & Gamble in Cologne, and he also worked for the Arbeit, the steel mills. And I remember him telling me that at the time Arbeit, just as nowadays, they are not doing very well, and he said, I grew tired of writing red figures all the time, and he changed companies. Eventually he ended up at the Luxembourg Chamber of Commerce, where he was in charge of the Asia Pacific region, and where he went for quite a few diplomatic or economic missions. I met him again then in the early, well, let's say the middle of 2010 or around 2005. We used to have at the Chambre de Commerce the Global Issues Conference, and I came across Jean-Claude in his function at the Chambre de Commerce, but we apart from saying hello and just chatting briefly, we didn't meet up. So earlier on this year, somehow we got in touch again through a common friend, and that was in the late summer when I met Jean-Claude again, and where I met him several times at his place in Limpertsberg. Meanwhile, he had married a lady who is still in touch with him, and I think he has always kept friends with, and together they adopted a son called Tommy. Living together with Jean-Claude wasn't easy, and the marriage broke up, and in 2014 at the Chambre de Commerce, Jean-Claude crossed paths with the then Minister of Economics, and he sort of got sidelined, and he left then the Chambre de Commerce in around 2015, if I'm not mistaken. Then in 2016 he caught a bacterial meningitis that almost took him away. He was unconscious for several weeks, and he slowly recovered afterwards. A painful recovery which lasted over a year, and which left him with lots of side effects such as dizziness, short vision, loss of hearing, and he had to surrender his driver's license. At that time he was divorced, and he moved into his parents' home. His father and mother had passed away, but he lived in Limpertsberg then, and that's where we met up again. He had the company of a small dog, and his ex-wife kept in touch with him, and so does did his son Tommy. I don't know about the sister. Somehow relations seem to have turned sour, and the last, in a way, I heard of Jean-Claude was a few months ago, where he went out with his ex-wife and Tommy, and where he when he was dropped off in Limpertsberg at his place, he was so inebriated that when he opened up the front door he fell and he cracked his skull, and he entered hospital, and basically that's the last I heard of him. Now Jean-Claude has been a very good friend, and we spend a lot of good moments together, be it here in Luxembourg or in the United States, where I met with him when he worked in Cleveland, and also when he was in Lausanne. I think he will be greatly missed, and he was not always easy to work with. His political views, we share a common set of political values. You just need to look at his Facebook pages and you'll quickly see what I mean. Most of the pictures, apart from the one, the black and white one I took at the restaurant back in September, all the other photos I took off his Facebook pages, and I'm sure he wouldn't